right, so today let's dive into the history of the Royal Mail. It's something we often take for granted, but when you think about it, postal systems, they've really shaped how we communicate, trade, you know, even warfare for centuries.
Yeah, what's fascinating is how much we can learn about a society just by looking at its postal service. It's a window into its values, its technological advancements, and even struggles.
Exactly, and I think the Royal Mail, with its long and storied history, is a prime example of that. We're going to be exploring historical accounts, anecdotes, and technological innovations from those early days of royal messengers to the modern mail system that we know today.
And it's really interesting to see how these systems evolved over time, reflecting the changing needs and priorities of each era. It's not just about stamps and mailboxes. It's about the very fabric of communication and its impact on society.
So let's start at the very beginning, long before the Royal Mail even came into being. How did people communicate across long distance?
Well, imagine a world without phones or cars, or even horses for that matter. In ancient Egypt, messages were actually delivered by runners, these incredibly fit individuals who would sprint across the land carrying decrees from the pharaohs.
Wow, talk about a workout. I can barely make it to the mailbox.
It really puts our modern communication methods into perspective. As empires expanded and trade routes grew, the need for faster, more reliable communication became even more critical.
So how did these early systems pave the way for more organized postal services?
Well, the ancient Romans, for example, they developed what was called the cursus publicus, a state-run courier service that spanned their vast empire. It was essentially a network of relay stations, where messengers could exchange tired horses for fresh ones, allowing for faster travel times.
So it was like an ancient relay race, but with messages instead of batons.
It was a significant development. It really highlighted the importance of efficient communication for maintaining control and facilitating trade across these vast distances.
So we've got ancient messengers laying the groundwork for organized postal system. But when does the Royal Mail officially enter the picture?
Let's fast forward to 1516, during the reign of King Henry VIII. Now, Henry VIII was a king obsessed with control, and he recognized the need for a reliable system to communicate with his court and officials across the realm.
Right, Henry VIII, the king with all the wives. He certainly knew a thing or two about communication, or maybe miscommunication, depending on the situation.
Exactly. And it was during his reign that the Royal Mail, or at least its earliest form, was established. Initially, it was a service reserved primarily for royal documents and correspondence.
So it started as a very exclusive club reserved for the elite. How did it eventually evolve into a service for the mass?
Well, it was a gradual process, but a key figure emerges in the 17th century. John Evelyn, a writer and diarist who had a keen interest in the postal service. He actually introduced the idea of the postmark, which might seem like a small detail, but it revolutionized mail delivery.
Postmark. I've never really thought about its significance.
Before the postmark, there was no way to track when or where a letter was sent. Evelyn's idea added a layer of accountability, and it helped to speed up delivery times. It was a simple innovation with a huge impact.
John Evelyn, the unsung hero of postal efficiency. I'll have to remember that next time I'm staring at a postmark. But let's talk about the bigger picture. How did the Royal Mail shape society and trade as it became more accessible to the public?
Well, imagine trying to conduct business in a world without reliable mail. It would be incredibly slow and inefficient. The Royal Mail transformed commerce, making it possible to send contracts, invoices, and payments across long distances with relative ease and security.
It's like the original email, only a lot slower.
Yeah.
I could see how it would have been revolutionary for businesses at the time.
Absolutely. It allowed companies to expand their reach, connect with new markets, and foster economic growth. And beyond commerce, the Royal Mail played a crucial role in connecting families and friends who were separated by distance.
Right, those handwritten letters full of news and personal stories. It's a form of communication that's almost lost in our digital age.
It creates a tangible connection, a sense of intimacy that's often missing in our world of instant messages and fleeting email. And the Royal Mail played a vital role in fostering that sense of connection for centuries.
So the Royal Mail is up and running, connecting people and businesses across the country. But what happens next in this epic tale of postal evolution?
Well, in the 19th century, a game-changing innovation emerges that will democratize communication and transform the Royal Mail forever: the penny post.
Penny post. Tell me more about this penny revolution.
So before the penny post, sending a letter could actually be quite expensive, and the cost varied depending on the distance it traveled. This meant that communication was often a luxury, reserved for the wealthy or for really urgent matters.
So you're telling me the price of a stamp could have been a major barrier to communication for everyday people?
Exactly. But in 1840, a visionary named Sir Rowland Hill came up with a radical idea: a uniform postage rate of just 1 penny, regardless of distance, for letters weighing up to half an ounce.
Wow, a flat rate for everyone. That's a game changer. I can see how that would have opened up communication to a much wider segment of the population.
It was a stroke of genius that had a profound impact on society. Suddenly, people from all walks of life could afford to stay in touch with loved ones, share news, and conduct business through the mail.
It's like the early version of social media connecting people across the country in ways that were never before possible. But this sudden influx of mail must have created some logistical challenges for the Royal Mail. How did they cope with this massive increase in volume?
The Royal Mail had to innovate and adapt to keep up with the demands of the penny post. One of the key innovations was the introduction of prepaid postage stamps, which streamlined the payment process and made it much more efficient.
The birth of the postage stamp. Those
Yeah.
little sticky squares that we often take for granted. But they represent a pivotal moment in postal history. Did they have any other tricks up their sleeve to manage this postal explosion?
They did. The Royal Mail also invested in new technologies to speed up delivery times. Remember those mail coaches we talked about earlier? Well, they became even more crucial, thundering across the countryside with their precious cargo of letters and parcels.
I can almost picture those horse-drawn carriages
Yeah.
racing against time to deliver the mail.
And as the railway network expanded in the 19th century, the Royal Mail saw an opportunity to further enhance their efficiency. They established the railway mail service, with dedicated carriages where postal workers could sort mail while the train was in motion.
Sorting mail on a moving train. That sounds incredibly challenging.
It was, but it significantly reduced delivery times, especially for long-distance mail. The Royal Mail was constantly seeking ways to improve their service and keep up with the ever-growing demand for communication.
It's a testament to their commitment to innovation and their ability to adapt to changing times. But their story doesn't end there, does it? What other technological advancements shaped the Royal Mail?
Well, as we move into the 20th century, a truly groundbreaking development emerges: airmail. Imagine the excitement when the first mail planes took to the skies, shrinking distances and connecting continents in a matter of days.
From horse-drawn carriages to airplane, that's an incredible leap forward in postal technology. It must have felt like a futuristic dream at the time.
It was a pivotal moment that revolutionized international mail delivery. And as technology continued to advance, the Royal Mail embraced automation, introducing sorting machines that could process mail at incredible speeds.
So from sorting mail by hand on moving trains to these high-tech sorting machines, that's remarkable how much the world had changed.
It's a journey of constant innovation, driven by a desire to connect people and deliver their messages as efficiently as possible.
But the Royal Mail wasn't just about delivering letters and parcels, was it? It also played a vital role in times of conflict. Tell me more about the Royal Mail's wartime legacy.
During times of war, communication becomes even more crucial. Imagine soldiers on the front lines, longing for news from home, relying on letters to stay connected with their loved ones.
Those letters must have been a lifeline for soldiers fighting far from home, a reminder of the world they were fighting for.
They were a source of comfort, encouragement, and sometimes heartbreaking news.
Wow.
And the Royal Mail ensured that those letters reached their destination, even in the midst of chaos and danger.
Do you have any specific examples of how the Royal Mail impacted wartime communication?
During the Napoleonic Wars, for example, the Royal Mail played a crucial role in delivering vital intelligence and strategic plans, shaping the course of battles. And in World War I, they established the Field Post Office, a mobile postal service that followed the troops and delivered mail to the front lines.
Wow, delivering mail to the front line. That must have taken incredible courage and dedication.
It did. The postal workers who risked their lives to deliver mail during wartime are unsung heroes, playing a vital role in maintaining morale and connecting soldiers with their families.
Their stories deserve to be remembered and honored. It's a reminder that behind every letter, every package, there are human stories, connections forged through the written word. But let's shift gears for a moment. We've talked a lot about the technological innovations that shaped the Royal Mail, but what about the people behind those innovations? The individuals who dedicated their lives to this institution?
The Royal Mail's history is filled with fascinating characters, from visionary leaders to dedicated postal workers who braved all sorts of challenges to deliver the mail.
I love those personal stories. They bring history to life and remind us that even the grandest institutions are ultimately built by individuals. Who are some of the key figures that shaped the Royal Mail's journey?
Well, we've already mentioned Sir Rowland Hill, the mastermind behind the penny post. But there were many others who made significant contributions. So Robert Smale, for instance, was appointed Postmaster General by Queen Elizabeth I and was tasked with creating a network of carriers for nationwide delivery. He was essentially the architect of the early Royal Mail system.
So Sir Robert Smale laid the foundation for what would become a global institution. That's quite a legacy. Who else comes to mind?
Frederick Melville was a pioneer in mail sorting. His innovative systems revolutionized the process, making it faster and more accurate. And then there are the countless postal workers, the men and women who walked miles each day, rain or shine, to deliver the mail.
They were the face of the Royal Mail, the ones who connected people in a very personal way. Their stories are just as important as those of the great innovators and leaders.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the recipients of all this mail. Think about the excitement of receiving a letter from a loved one overseas. The anticipation of opening that envelope and holding those handwritten words in your hand.
It's a feeling that's hard to replicate in our digital age, but it's a reminder of the power of the written word, the tangible connection that letters create.
The Royal Mail facilitated those connections, those shared experiences, those moments of joy, sorrow, and everything in between. They were more than just a postal service. They were a conduit for human emotion.
It's a beautiful thought. But we can't ignore the fact that the Royal Mail faced its fair share of challenges, right? Tell me more about the darker side of postal history.
Well, the Royal Mail has also been a target for espionage, a battleground for secret messages and covert operations.
Espionage. Like spies using the mail to communicate. That sounds like something out of a spy novel.
It's true. Secret communication has been a part of postal services since ancient times. Imagine your mail carrier delivering secret messages or even smuggling agents.
Okay, that's a side of the Royal Mail I never considered. It's fascinating and a bit unsettling at the same time. How do they try to combat these security threats?
They had to be constantly vigilant, developing new security measures to protect the mail from prying eyes. From simple wax seals to more sophisticated encryption methods, the battle between spies and postal security has been a constant game of cat and mouse.
It's a reminder that the Royal Mail wasn't just about delivering birthday cards and love letters. It also played a role in international intrigue and espionage. But let's fast forward to a more recent challenge, the digital age. How did the Royal Mail adapt to a world of instant communication and email?
That's a fascinating question, and one that will take us into the modern era of the Royal Mail's journey. The digital revolution presented a significant challenge, but also an opportunity for transformation and reinvention.
I'm eager to hear how the Royal Mail navigated this new digital landscape. Lead the way. So now we've arrived at the digital age, a time of rapid technological advancements that have really transformed the way we communicate. What did this mean for an institution like the Royal Mail that was really built on the foundation of physical mail?
It certainly was a pivotal moment, a time of both challenge and opportunity for the Royal Mail. The rise of email, instant messaging, and social media meant that people could suddenly send messages across the world in a matter of seconds. It was a paradigm shift in communication that had a profound impact on these traditional postal services.
I can only imagine the disruption it must cause. Did people just simply stop sending letters altogether? Was the Royal Mail just destined to become a relic of the past?
Not entirely. While letter writing, it did decline significantly, the Royal Mail proved to be surprisingly resilient, adapting to the changing landscape by embracing new technology and refocusing its core services.
So how did they manage to stay relevant in this rapidly evolving digital world?
Well, they recognized that they couldn't compete with email on speed or cost for personal communication. So instead, they focused on areas where they still had a competitive advantage, such as parcel delivery.
So the rise of e-commerce and online shopping actually played in their favor.
Exactly. As more and more people turned to the internet to purchase goods, the demand for reliable parcel delivery services skyrocketed, and the Royal Mail, with its vast network of delivery infrastructure, was well positioned to capitalize on this trend.
It's a classic example of adapting to changing market demand. They essentially reinvented themselves as a key player in the e-commerce ecosystem.
Precisely. They invested heavily in modern sorting centers and delivery fleets to handle the increasing volume of parcel. And they formed strategic partnerships with major online retailers, becoming an integral part of the online shopping experience.
It's really a story of transformation and reinvention. The Royal Mail, once synonymous with handwritten letters and postage stamps, found new life in the digital age by embracing the world of e-commerce.
It's a remarkable testament to their ability to adapt and evolve, but their story is far from over. The Royal Mail continues to face challenges such as competition from private delivery companies and the ongoing decline in letter volume.
It makes you wonder what the future holds for this iconic institution. Will they be able to navigate these ongoing challenges and maintain their relevance in an increasingly digital world?
That's the million-dollar question. But if their history has taught us anything, it's that the Royal Mail is a survivor. They've weathered storms and adapted to change throughout their long and illustrious history.
It's a story of resilience, innovation, and a deep commitment to connecting people. And while the way we communicate may have changed dramatically over the centuries, the need for connection remains a fundamental human desire.
Absolutely. And the Royal Mail, in its various forms, has played a vital role in facilitating those connections, bridging distances and fostering a sense of community. Their legacy is woven into the fabric of our history and our collective memory.
It's a legacy worth exploring and understanding. So for those of you who want to delve deeper into this fascinating story, I highly recommend checking out The History of Royal Mail. It's available on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
It's a captivating read, filled with insights that will deepen your appreciation for the Royal Mail and its impact on our world.
And with that, we conclude our deep dive into the history of the Royal Mail. We hope you've enjoyed this journey through time, exploring the evolution of an institution that has shaped communication, trade, and society for centuries. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those letters and packages moving.